everybody, welcome back. You're watching Agent on Duty with myself, your host, Stacey Prieur, and returning guest, Ed Sater. I wanted to thank you in advance for coming back on the show. Last time we talked to you a little bit about your property management company, but it's kind of evolved into something a little bit different. So we have BlueKey Construction now. So you want to tell us a little bit about that now?
Sure. So we are actually in a little bit of a, it's BlueKey Construction or BlueKey Design and Build. So we've kind of morphed into something a little bit more design friendly. We want to kind of emphasize the design aspect of it, because a lot of people nowadays, we're finding are really sinking a lot of money into their homes. And in doing so, we put a lot of emphasis on the pre-construction, not only on the, swinging the hammer and doing the work. We put a lot of emphasis on the pre-construction and the design aspect, because now people want to add more space. They want to add more rooms. They want to, tear down a wall. So not only are we doing the work, we are, again, putting a lot of emphasis on the design aspect of it. So we are now BlueKey Design and Build.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, your designs are stunning. Like your finished products, every single time I'm like, dang. Like honestly, it looks beautiful. And it's funny because you have so many men working for you. I'm just like, they design it like a woman would love it. So I'm like, I don't know where you're getting your inside information from, but it's pretty.
Well, thank you. We work with, we do have a great team. And not only do we have the guys that actually are on staff, but we have a lot of trades, right? We're only as good as our trades are. In our trades, we deal with fantastic trades, men and women and companies, right? And our designer is a female. So our designer is a female, and we also have an interior designer as well. So we have an architectural designer and we have an interior designer, and both of them are fantastic. So that, again, we put a lot of emphasis on that design, and we then use our tradespeople to build it out, right?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Honestly, your stuff looks gorgeous. So I wanted to talk a little bit more, like go back into the history of things. So when we last spoke, you had mentioned that you were redoing the property management company, and then you kind of pivoted as a business owner. Obviously capitalizing on what's going on with COVID and the market, and because you're right, absolutely, people are home, so now they're taking the equity that they're building in their homes and they're reinvesting in it and doing these renovations, and it's also building more equity, ironically. So what made you pivot as a business owner?
I like to take a lot of credit for that, and but I also yet want to be humble in the fact that I don't want to kind of toot my own horn, but as a business owner, you do see the trends and you see where things are kind of going, right? And you can identify, and I was quick to identify that there's a need, and not only is there a need to have another. There's a lot of construction companies out there. Let's be serious. Everyone has done home improvements of of some sort, but it's a matter of how do you separate yourself from everyone else. And I felt, again, as the property management business, there is a need, and I went to where the need is, but not only the need of another construction company or someone to build it out, but a need for someone that is that you can talk to, that's personable, that understands, right? That can empathize with the situation, that understands real estate as well, right? So that also helps. So when you speak to them and explain to them about the equity in their home and how they can refinance and how it could be more valuable, not only are we doing the construction or the design, but we're also adding a little bit of information about how they can recoup that money by investing in their property.
Amazing. And you actually said something that I'm going to segue this. We are going to go to break, but I want to talk about how you are separating yourself from other people, because I noticed that you're creating this abundant work culture. So you definitely are separating yourself in terms of your internal staff and how you deal with your clients. So when we come back from break, we are going to get into how Ed's doing things a little bit differently. Stay tuned. Hey guys, if you are just tuning in, you're watching Agent on Duty with myself, Stacey Prieur, and my special guest today, Ed Sater. So today we are talking all about BlueKey Construction and how Ed's been doing things a little bit differently than your average construction crew. We are getting more into design. And one of the things that I really wanted to tap into was the work culture that Ed's been setting up and promoting on Instagram, which if you guys haven't been following him, you have to, because these videos are hilarious. I just want to talk to you a little bit about this marketing initiative that you've been doing. Like, your staff seems to be having the greatest time all the time. And I love the little dancing videos and like the twirling pizza boxes. And it just looks like you have such a great culture. How did that come about? Because I know there's a lot of business owners out there that struggle with work culture and creating that positive environment. What made you do this, or what made you kind of tap into this part?
Thank you. I really appreciate that, because it's really important to us to have that quote unquote family environment. It's very important that people can feel safe at work, right? And feel that there is, you can come to any one of us, your managers, your project managers, and speak to them about your concerns or your successes. And we've we have an open door policy. Our doors are never closed. And we emphasize that fun atmosphere, right? We are always having a good time. Sanchez, everyone will know Sanchez who follows us. A great positive energy to have. You know, I mean, our project managers, they come from, I guess you could say, they come from larger companies, right? A lot of the big construction companies. And now they're coming down to a little bit smaller, close-knit family, where we treat people like not just a number, but we treat them as an individual, right? Everyone has their issues. Everyone has their personal stuff at home, and we try to make sure that we, without getting too personal, but we do get personal, right? So we try to have that good balance, and you know what, we like to emphasize a lot of fun.
Now, I wanted to go through a little bit about each person that you do have on your team and their areas of genius, because I think that's one of the things that you've been really great at as a leader, tapping into, because everybody has a unique brand character on your team, and you can definitely tell that there's like, this is this guy, this is that guy. So let's share with the audience who's on your team. And yes, Sanchez is definitely one of my favorite dancing characters in your team.
Well, let's start off with Sanchez. JP Gullens is absolutely one of the kindest, caring, generous people I know. He is, I can't even say enough words about him, because he's just, no matter what time, he's always learning. He's very knowledgeable, but he's always wants to know more. He's eager to know more. And that is a quality that is, he doesn't know everything. That's the kind of mentality that he goes into it, and he wants to absorb more. He is very knowledgeable, hard worker, very, very hard worker. And he loves to dance. Like, I mean, what else? I mean, he's always positive. He's got a great energy. Every client that has interacted with him has said nothing but positive things about him. He just, when he comes in, he's polite, he's kind, he's caring, and he looks after the client, and he looks after them in every facet. Next, we have Kurt Langiel. He is a project manager and estimator, very, very talented, knows his business. He comes from a larger company, so he's downsized himself to come work with us, but he is very, again, he is our chief estimator, so he's the guy that crunches the numbers, and he'll take measurements. He's also interested in design, a very talented individual, and he's got a lot of kids. He's got a lot of kids, so he's very, very family oriented. And then we have another project manager. His name is Brent. Brent Anthony comes from a larger company as well. He knows his business inside and out. He is very talented. And again, we're very fortunate to have these people that come from larger companies that come to us. And to keep them is difficult, right? I mean, but we find a way to keep them, and they're with us, and they're invested in the the well-being of the company and the success of the company. So I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening and it's great.
That's awesome. Honestly, Ed, it's kind of like when I'm going to age myself when I say this, and no amount of facial stuff can take this. But honestly, it sounds like you have like your own band of traveling Wilburys. Like you have like honestly these rock stars that are all band together to create this really cool synergy.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do want to get into is it's great that you have so many experts. And we were talking a little bit about how you consult with the homeowners and you kind of go through the bewares before you actually do these renovations. So we are going to take another quick break, and then when we get back from break, we're going to get into what you need to know about doing renovations and obstacles that you might have to overcome. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Agent on Duty with myself, your host, Stacey Prieur, and my returning guest, Ed Sater. Before the break, we were going to talk about the process. So when a client calls you, Ed, if you can walk our viewers through what goes on. So if you're sitting there, you're at home right now, and you're looking around, you're thinking, especially if you have some like green old shag carpet, you need to make this call. Yes, what's the process? What's the budgeting? Like, how do people, if they want something like this done, what can they expect?
On our website, you can go to our website, and then there is a little tab that says schedule an appointment or
And
schedule a
what's
quote.
the website address?
www.bluekeycon.com. So so you go on to our website and then you request a quote. So when you request a quote, it actually prompts you to what kind of home renovation that you're looking for. Are you looking for an addition? Are you looking for a whole home remodel? Are you looking for a kitchen? Or are you looking for a basement? Or are you looking for a bathroom? So those are our 5 or 6 typically our go-tos, right? And then there's an other. So if you press one of those, it will take you to a calendar, and then that calendar will give you a time to book. You book an appointment, and then you'll see me. I will come out and meet you. So I will be your first point of contact. I will take a look at the project, and depending on what you want, we will discuss our design phase, right? So if you're looking to remove a load-bearing wall, or if you're looking to build an addition, there are certain steps that we, whether it requires our designer to come in or it requires engineering, that would be our first step. So we would talk to the client, talk to the homeowner, and explain to them that that we would require our designer to come out. So our designer would then come out, we would do a full measure of the house, and then come up with some plans. That will be the first set of plans. We will review the plans. And based on those plans, if there's any revisions that need to be made, it's great to be able to see that, right? So you'll see your 2D plan. Once you see your 2D plan and you accept that, then we'll give you a 3D rendition of what it's going to look like. So a computer-generated rendering of what your space is going to look like. At that time, we will give you a rough number, a rough budget number. And then we take that, and once you approve that, we then send you off a proposal based on that rendering. So we'll know exactly what kind of tiles that you want, or what kind of baseboard that you like. So you basically pick out all your finishes, and then we will send you off a proposal. Our proposals are really cool. They come up to you. You can accept them online. It's all broken down. And once you accept that proposal, you then go into a queue where we would actually come out and start we would do the process of the pre-construction meeting, and then we would do the scheduling for the actual construction to happen.
And one of the things that I love about your finished products is that it looks like a brand new build. It's absolutely stunning. So right now in the market, there's a stop builds on new builds. So if you have this property and you're just looking for a simple addition, if you're looking for a complete revamp, like I've seen you, like you literally transformed like main living rooms and kitchens, and like it doesn't even look like the same property. I was looking like where the window placements were. I was like, this is not the same property. Like I literally got excited over it. I was like, here's the other thing. With new builds, you have to put a lot of really hefty deposits up front. How does that work with your company? Like, I'm just thinking from the perspective of the person who loves the new builds, like they stay in homes for like 2 years and that's it, and then they're selling. Like this might be um something where if someone can't get into a new build, but they want to like completely transform, what's the type of budget that they should be looking for? What kind of deposits are they anticipating? Those kinds of things.
We are currently working on a similar project that you're just describing right now, is where the bones of the house are still good, but they are completely gutting the whole interior and going right to the studs and then rebuilding everything. So our cost to rebuild is anywhere between $250 to $300 a square foot, right? So that gives you a good idea of what it's going to cost for an addition or to remodel your home. Now, again, that is just general quote unquote number, right? So, but once we break it down, we'll discuss it a little further. Depending on what you want, all the needs are completely different, and the prices are different based on that. But if it's a complete build or a new build, it would be that number.
The next question was deposit. So thank you for explaining that. And your cost per square footage is great. Like that's usually when you talk to a builder, that's kind of the number they give you. So how does it work for deposits?
Well, deposits, what we normally do is when we send you off the proposal. So I guess we can backtrack a little bit. So for our designer, we take a retainer for our designer. So that retainer for the designer goes towards the cost of the drawings. Now, those drawings are yours, the homeowners, to keep. They can keep those the drawings, and we encourage the homeowner to price it out, not just take our price, right? So they can pay, those drawings are theirs. They can price it out, and they can compare apples to apples, right? That's always a good thing for them to do, because we encourage that. Now, if you do choose to go with us to do the build, we reimburse you that cost of the drawings. So it's a good incentive for them to, after they've done some price shopping, to come back to us and say, you know what, we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and proceed. Once you proceed with us, for our deposit, we generally break down the cost of the whole renovation over a period of 4 installments or 5 installments, depending on the length of the project. Or it could be, if it's just a bathroom, it could be 3 installments. So initial deposit is a small deposit up front until we actually start working. When we actually are there, we'll take the first payment, and then it'll be broken up on milestones, right? Whether it be a 2-week, every 2 weeks, there's a payment, or certain milestones. We'll discuss that with the client. And again, it's based on the client too. So they might get advances on their mortgages, or they might be able to, or they're working on something, or, we work with the client based on their needs. And that's how we finance the project.
Yeah. So typically what happens in a new build situation, I think most builders in London, they're at 25 or 30K up front. So it's hard because you can't really, and if you don't really have that, or you haven't sold your home, it's harder for people to get into a new build. So for example, this would be perfect because if you're looking to refi, then you can do your refinancing and then do these draws. So technically they're called construction draws, correct?
Yes. Awesome. Exactly. And that's why we work with the client based on those draws, right? So we work with them, and certain milestones, banks like to see, if it's an addition, they want to see the foundation being poured. And after the foundation being poured, they want to see the roof being put on, right? And once the windows go in. So there's certain milestones, and that's when we will ask for those secondary or third draw or fourth draws.
The other question I wanted to ask you, and I know that this is kind of an anomaly, but I've seen this happening more and more frequently within London, especially in areas like Westmount, Wortley, and Byron, where people are tearing down a majority of the home, but they're only leaving one wall up. Now, that's the loophole, isn't it? Because it's considered a renovation, not a complete
rebuild. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Yep. Yeah, that's the loophole that people are finding, and it seems to be working. Once they just leave a little part up, and then that's it. So it's renovation and not a complete rebuild.
Like you would think that there would have to be some sort of structural support, but literally, I think up Highbury there was one, and it's like one yellow brick wall. And I'm like, well, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we get back, we're going to just recap what we've chatted about with Ed. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about buyer beware. Anything else that people should be aware of before they get into renovations. Guys, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming back. You're watching Agent on Duty with myself, Stacey Prieur, and my guest today, Ed Sater. So we've been chatting all about his construction company, BlueKey Construction. And the last thing I wanted to get into, we've talked a little bit about his culture. We've talked a little bit about his company. We've talked about the characters in his company. But Ed, I just wanted to talk about some common obstacles that people face. Like, is there anything that you want anyone who's considering this to be aware of before they contact you, or make sure that they have an order?
Well, we are dealing with another situation right now where a client provided one of their contractor a large sum up front, a considerable amount up front, and they knew them through other means or however they knew them, but they felt good enough to trust them to give them a large amount, which was almost 75%. There's no need to give a contractor 75% upfront. They haven't done anything yet, and we really want you to be careful because in these times are tough, and people resort to doing some really bad things during tough times. And just be careful with your money. It's your hard-earned money. Do some research. Whether it's going to go through the Better Business Bureau, whether you're going to go to Google, check out the references, see their work, go by the job site. That's another one. See what they're doing, right? Go by the job site. Ask them to see one of their job sites. See how they're doing out there. Maybe talk to the clients. These are all things, because you're investing a large amount of money into your project, and you don't want to be, as this particular client is now, trying to chase that one and still trying to continue to do his project where his money is pretty much gone. And they're trying to sell their home, and we feel for them. They're in a very tough situation, and that's where we just want to emphasize that buyer beware. Be careful with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And the struggle is real. Hashtag that. So Ed, where can our viewers get a hold of you if they are thinking of remodeling? They want to pick your brain. They want to get some design work. What's the best way to reach you?
You can get us through our website, www.bluekeycon.com, or give me a call at any time at 226-980-9807.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ed, for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing all this valuable information with our viewers. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in to Agent on Duty. Ed, I need to talk to you about getting myself one of those BlueKey hoodies because they look comfy. Anyways, have an amazing day, and we will see you guys next time.